Coaching. Hey there, I'm your host, Joy Martinez, personal strengths empowerment coach and owner of Strengths DNA. On this episode, I'm talking with Helen Packham, a transformational life and business coach for mom entrepreneurs. She supports women to gain the confidence, business know-how, and time and energy to build an online business truly aligned with their passion and purpose. Helen is a fellow strengths enthusiast, and her personal strengths are very apparent in her business. Empathy, compassion, and her ability to develop others are three of her top strengths. She uses her empathy to step into the shoes of her clients and look at the things from their perspective to better understand, establish trust, find common ground, build relationships, attract her ideal clients, and to influence others. She enables transformation in other people through self-discovery, and her compassion feeds into her vision to make a bigger impact and supports making a difference in many women's lives, empowering them to realize just how great they really are. We chat about a time when she overused her empathy and compassion strengths, when she got into a place where she felt drained, was too subjective, and didn't manage her boundaries very well. This led into issues in her personal life as well. In order to get out of this negative space, she fell back on her strengths in order to go through self-discovery again. Through this discovery, she realized what she was meant to do, built a business based on those foundations, and helps her clients every day get really clear on their strengths and their unique ability. She even chats with us about her non-negotiable bliss time that she has every day on her schedule, which helps her feel replenished and rejuvenated so that she does not fall to the bottom of the list. So let's get started. Thanks so much for being here with me today, Helen. I'm excited to talk with you all about strengths. And of course, as you know, I'm a personal strengths empowerment coach, so I'm all about empowering entrepreneurs to discover and leverage their unique talents to serve the world. So tell us, what do you do and who do you serve?
Thank you so much, Joy. It's fantastic to be here. Well, I am a transformational life and business coach, and I specifically help mum entrepreneurs really to unlock the greatness that lies within them that they kind of forgot was there, to really boost their business skills and business know-how and help them tap the time and energy to build a business around their family. It's been an interesting journey with many twists and turns, but that's where I am right now, and I absolutely love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And for anybody listening, Helen and I got to know each other back when I first actually started my entrepreneurial journey. She and I connected because we both love strengths and everything about strengths-based development. So I am so excited to have this conversation with you today because I feel like it's a very long time coming for us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited too. And yeah, I can't wait.
Awesome. So why don't you share with us some of your top strengths in your own words? So I know you've taken the Strengths Finder assessment before and probably a lot of other strengths profiles. So you can include some of those, but even just, in your own words, what do you feel like your top strengths are and how do you use them in your business?
Great question. So I think for me, they've always, throughout my career, they have always followed a similar theme, and they emerged when I was my background is in corporate executive coaching and leadership development, and when I was in those roles, starting off as a coach in my leaving college and starting as a coach with Virgin Atlantic, the strengths that really kind of emerged was helping other people to get from a certain point from an A to B point, and really seeing the shift that was created when they realized something themselves through the kind of the medium of coaching. And I think as I kind of explored that more and diversified in my career, that theme just kept on following and following through. And it was when I first of all took the Strengths Finder. Oh gosh, I cannot remember when it was. It was a long time ago now. And those key strengths really did resonate with me. And then it wasn't until I got accredited in the StrengthScope tool that I really started to explore strengths. A leadership role where there wasn't any developing others, where I wasn't able to coach people. I was kind of leading programs. I was not delivering development to people, and it really felt wrong to me, and like I wasn't utilizing my strengths. And so it was my mission to carve myself out a role that enabled me to use those strengths, which I did. And my first business was in parent coaching, so I was able to use those 3 strengths. And now in my life and business coaching business, I am using those strengths every single day, and they're completely aligned with what I do.
I love that. You know what's so funny is I remember you telling me now that you have empathy in your strengths, and you're going to probably laugh at this, but on the Strengths Finder assessment, empathy is my number 34 strength. It's so funny because I would never think I lack empathy, but I think my other ones are just so far dominant that one falls to the end for me. And this is why I love connecting with other entrepreneurs like you that have strengths completely different than mine, but are still, like there might be a lot of different types of life and business coaches out there, but you may come at it from a completely different perspective and direction than the next person because of these unique talents that you have. Mm-hmm. So tell me how you use your empathy, compassion, and developing specifically in the business that you have right now. I'd like to hear a little bit more about, how you use that with your clients, and also separate from your clients, how have you used it to kind of reach your goals in your business that you've set for yourself?
Okay, so I'll answer the first part of that. So I guess how I use that is really in the process of providing a space for a client to explore what they need to explore and to find their own answers in a lot of the situations. So I am a coach. I am also a mentor. So I am passing on knowledge and experience and, learning to my clients. But really, in terms of my expertise and my absolute passion is providing that coaching space for them. And so empathy is really something that I love stepping into because it enables me to step into the shoes of my client, to really look from their perspective, to really understand. And I use it in many different ways. I use it to establish trust, to establish common ground when I'm building relationships with prospective clients, when I'm just building relationships with people, to connect with people. I use it to, I guess, attract clients to me in my messaging. I use it to influence people. So I use it in many, many ways. So I think, okay, that's probably, empathy is a standout one for me. Mm-hmm. Developing others really is the... I've kind of distilled down another sort of the work I've done to my unique ability, the elixir to the community, like the essence. And that is really developing others. It's enabling transformation in other people. And again, providing the space to do that. So I guess I'm using that every day, and when I'm having sessions with my clients and I am enabling that transformation, that transfer of learning, or that realization, or that awareness to take action, whatever it might be. That's happening every day in every interaction I have with my clients. And the compassion kind of feeds into my vision, my bigger vision, the vision that's bigger than me, to kind of make a bigger impact. with this type of thing. I absolutely feel so passionate about the struggles that my ideal client has faced because I faced them. And so I have so much compassion for them because they are where I have been and I want to help them to come out the other side.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm using compassion in that sense. And I just want to help people. I just want to help people. I want to help as many people as possible. I want to help as many women as possible to realise how bloody great they are. Sorry for swearing.
No, it's okay. I love that. No, I love how you use that. And I think for you, like, that is something, because you mentioned, I mean, not only with your clients, but I think you're able to attract the right type of clients that you enjoy working with as well, because you can put it in your messaging, and people that need that person to kind of hear them out and understand where they are coming from and to have the compassion, but then also know how to help them transform. And, it's kind of that, that realization and acceptance of where they've been, and then knowing how to then help them move forward and, really see those transformations for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And yeah, just the process of it and then the end result gives me so much energy. It's one of those things I could do all day long and not get tired. So, it's I absolutely know I'm kind of tapping into the strengths when I'm in that kind of zone.
Yeah. So do you ever, have you ever run into any scenarios where you feel like you are overusing your strengths? So does your empathy ever get in a place where you're like feeling really drained at the end of the day because you are kind of taking on the emotions of a lot of the people around you and things like that? And if you have kind of run into that, what do you do to manage that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. That has happened. It happened a lot throughout my career in the corporate world, and my compassion and empathy would often go into overdrive, and I would find myself drained. I would find myself becoming too subjective and drawn in, and it would started to blur into my life, and also I didn't manage my boundaries very well. So that was the case in the workplace, but also when I started up my first business as a parent coach. I am, and I still do. I still work with parents, and they are at a very delicate time in their lives. They are in need of support. They are in need of compassion, but sometimes that can mean that I did go into overdrive, and I have done, and that means that perhaps my boundaries have become too weak in terms of enabling them to contact me at all hours and just trying to be there for them as much as possible. I really kind of learned the hard way with that. It's all learning, but from that realization, I've now put much stronger boundaries in place in terms of my needs and what I need, and how I need to compartmentalize work time and client access and things like that. So with this business, I'm much clearer on that, and I'm just really upfront with it in terms of how someone can contact me, when they can contact me, what the relationship's for, and what it's not for. So
that's perfect. I love that you've first of all realized like when that has gotten out of control before, when you're kind of overusing it, like I like to say, but then you figured out a way to manage it for you. So, being able to now in this business set those boundaries, which are very important, because as a coach, like, you want to help your clients. And then as somebody that has these strengths on top of it, it would be, I would think, because it comes so naturally to you just to do it, it's almost like you may not even realize you're doing it, and then all of a sudden you're feeling drained, or you're working nonstop and you're like, why am I feeling this way? Oh, that's right, I need to set this boundary. So I'm really glad that you recognize that, because I think so many people go in their business for so long feeling these types of emotions of frustration, or they're not really sure, like, why they're in this state of overwhelm or burnout. And it's, little things that can make such a big difference with managing both overusing your strengths as well as your weaknesses. Speaking of weaknesses, so I like to kind of mix it up a little bit. And because, and I mean, this, a big part of working more in your strengths is knowing also your areas of weakness so that you can manage or neutralize and be able to help manage those and get into your strength zone again. So what are some of your weaknesses that you have, and how do you avoid staying, in those areas of weakness, and what types of things have you done to stay in your strength zone?
Mm-hmm. So my areas of weakness are in tiny detail. So I am a big picture. One of my strengths is strategic mindedness. I really like to see things on a broad perspective, and that's how my brain works. And so the minutiae of things, the kind of completion of things as well, is not necessarily something that is a strength. The energy I get is at the beginning, the idea generation, that sort of thing, rather than the kind of the detail and the completion. So in the detail respect, I guess things that I find difficult are details around numbers, such processes that require a detailed view, such as accounts and spreadsheets and things like that. Doesn't flip my switch, and that also then kind of has gone into the technical side of my business and understanding the detail around that, the technical detail. And I have tried to learn, and every time it feels like I get stuck in the mud, and time just slows to a halt, and I find it very, very difficult. So I after a lot of trial and error, I have realised that other people should definitely do those things for me. So I have outsourced those things.
I love that. That's an excellent way to manage it too, because you're right. So many accounting, numbers, spreadsheet, those details, those are definitely somebody's strengths. So even if they're not your strengths, by outsourcing and being able to have somebody that complements your strengths and pulls you up where you're weak to handle some of those details, can definitely allow you to stay in the areas that you do have strength and continue developing those. I don't know if you knew, I just had put out a training, and it was called Scale with Outsourcing, and it was all about being able to use your strengths to, through outsourcing, and how do you go about finding somebody that aligns with your strengths and complements them in the areas that you really need help for. And so this is like a perfect piggyback to that.
Cool.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit too, what would you say some big aha moments have been in your business, where maybe it's an aha moment where you kind of completely went a different direction, or you just had a realization that made you realize yes, this is why I am doing the right thing. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, basically gave you that validation that you're on the right path.
Great question. I think that the one that's standing out for me is when I launched my first business, I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. I kind of bumbled along, and I wasn't really clear. I guess I was clear on my ideal client because it was a very, very specific niche, but I wasn't really clear on anything else. And so the business did kind of stall a little bit and falter because of that. And it wasn't until some personal circumstances, so after having the birth of my son, my marriage hit the rocks. And it was actually out of that I realised that I really kind of lost who I was after having kids. And I wasn't clear on who I was. I wasn't clear on what my purpose was. I didn't have any confidence because I'd returned to the working world, and I'd kind of, people had told me that I wasn't good at what I was doing anymore. And so I started on a journey of self-discovery. And through that journey, I went back to my strengths and went back to my values and my needs and my story and my beliefs and all of those foundational things. And it was in doing that I realised what I was meant to do and what I was here to do. And so I built a business on those foundations, and that includes really getting clear on my strengths and how my strengths can serve me in my business. And so now that is what I help women to do, because it's been such a fundamental part of my own journey and getting clarity on my business that it's part of my coaching program as a kind of fundamental foundation. You get clear on you get solid on you get clear on your strengths and what your unique ability is. And then from there, you get clear on your mission and your vision, and you get clear on your goals, and you get clear on your services and your ideal client, and it all kind of falls into place after that. So I think that was a real turning point for me, getting clear on me. And then that went into business.
Yeah, I think that is important. And I, too, would call that, any of the strengths-based development, but really getting clear on who you are, what makes you unique, what your strengths are, because everybody has talents that are unique to them. But I think sometimes it's hard to see it yourself. I feel like it's easier to see what makes other people talented and unique, but it's a lot more difficult to see it in yourself. So the fact that, through those realizations, you had that, and now you can help your clients figure that out for themselves. I know you and I both help our clients with that. In different ways, I think, but ultimately the same thing. And I think it's definitely a huge part. It's a foundational part of running a business, but it's also a foundational part of life, of finding that confidence, finding that happiness, finding, your purpose in life as well.
Absolutely. And when I talk to my clients and they're unsure, and we're kind of at the beginning stages, and they say, well, what are your strengths? And I rattle them off, and they say, well, you're so sure about that. It's like, yes, I am, and that's what I want to help you with. I really want to help you with that. And then once they get clear, it's just great to see it all lining up like ducks in a row, and providing that clarity for them.
Yeah. And I think it's funny too that they say, well, you're so sure, but it's not like it happened overnight for you either. I mean, for all of us, even if you do have a keen awareness now, it's all part of a self-discovery, and we all have to start somewhere. It's just you've already discovered that. You've already went through that transformation and that discovery for yourself to be able to see that. And I think that's one thing I was actually talking to somebody else about recently, was that a lot of people just see the highlight reels online and the highlight reels of people's businesses. But even the highlight reels just in people's lives, like they see the successes that people are having. They see maybe tangible things that they have in their life, but they don't always see the whole picture of the transformation and the discovery and the work that person put in to get to those places, and that everybody starts from zero. Everybody starts from the same place. They just may be a little further along in their journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's right.
I love that. Yeah. Cool. Well, let me ask you this. Right now, what are you most excited about in your business? What do you love waking up and doing, and what kind of cool projects and stuff are you working on?
So at the moment, I'm really, really excited, I guess, about two things. So the first is I've been running a case study for my program, my coaching program, which is called Mum to Mom Boss. And it was really like a test to see if the processes that I've put in place work. And it's just been absolutely amazing to see these women, because a lot of the women I'm working with, some of them don't. They're right at the beginning of their journey, so they're not necessarily sure on what it is they want to do. And so it's, by implementing the things that I've learned from my career and my life and, all of the things and putting them all together in the pot, actually seeing that and seeing the transformation in other people has been amazing. So that's a really exciting thing I'm still working through. I've got a few spots left on the case study before it kind of fully launches as a complete program.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool. But the other thing that's emerged from it is really is the clarity thing, is the process that's involved for somebody to get clarity about them and their business and how it can all slot into place. And so I'm actually just in the process of putting together a little mini group program, which is going to be like a clarity creator group program. And it takes a lot of the elements from Mum to Mum Boss, but it kind of puts it in a really focused 4-week program where a group of people explore that clarity together. So I'm really excited about that, because that opens it up to other people. Of course, I work with mums, but I don't just have to work with mums. My speciality is mums because that's been my direct experience since I left the corporate world, and I kind of know, as you do, what it's like to run a business when you're looking after your children, and what's required, and the pushes and the pulls and the struggles and the strains and all that sort of stuff. But new things are emerging in terms of how I can really help people, and the clarity part of it has been one of those things that have emerged. It's always evolving, isn't it?
Yeah. That's so funny because I do think that I find that a lot of moms do work with other moms because we get the, what goes into not only building a business, but, being a parent and everything that goes involved with raising your children. And it's a lot. And I think you want somebody that understands what you're going through. And I think that's why a lot of moms are attracted to, hiring a mom coach, because they know they're going to get it. And not as like a, they're sure they're going to want somebody to hold them accountable and to push them and not, put up with, well, I had this excuse today because of my son, but also having, like you said, the compassion, the empathy to understand that, hey, I get it. I am raising my children too. And it's just different, I think, when you are a parent. It's definitely different. And so I can see why that type of person would be drawn to you, especially with your type of strengths, because you are compassionate and, empathize with their life, because it aligns directly with your life as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, your program sounds really awesome. And I know that everybody that's going through kind of the beta case study, piece of it, when you actually do launch it, I like that you've also identified one key piece out of that, the clarity, because I think so many people struggle with that. And part of what comes with that clarity is, like we talked about earlier, knowing who you are, knowing what makes you unique and what you uniquely have to offer the world, and, how to use those strengths. Because I think a big piece of the clarity comes out of that, because you may think, oh, I want to start a business in this. Like for me, when I was first starting my business, this was, sometime last fall, when this was before I started my business, but I knew I wanted to start my business sometime soon. And I kept kind of going back and forth on the idea. And I kept thinking, I should be a marketing coach, because all of my marketing career, I had, 12 years corporate experience. I had my master in business. I'm like, I should be, just a business coach. I should be a marketing coach. And every time I would go to work on creating this business, I got hung up. I got frustrated. I couldn't think of anything. I was like, this is not feeling right. And I was like, forget this. Forget the what people think you should be doing or what you think you should be doing, and really get clear. And when I really got clear, there was one thing that kept coming back to me that I wanted to use my strengths on. And that was to do something in strengths, because I knew that lit me up. I was excited about it. And people were like, Joy, you could talk about this all day long and I see your face lighting up. Why would you do anything else? And for whatever reason, it was not clear to me in the beginning because I had this preconceived notion that I should probably just do what like all my skills and knowledge were. But I was kind of ignoring my strengths and my inner intuition of what I knew about myself. And it wasn't until I got that piece of clarity, which is so important, that allowed me to push forward with actually creating my business.
Great. Oh, thank you for sharing that, because that is just a really good example of, and two of my clients, we started off down one road, and we've had to, really go back and look at the foundations again and have gone in a different direction because it's just so important. Otherwise, you're just kind of building a house on sand.
That's a good analogy. Building a house on sand. I love that. Yes, that's exactly what it's like.
You get it all solid from the start, then, it's going to be a strong house.
There you go. Exactly. And I mean, for me, I know this is probably for you. This is probably for every entrepreneur. The reason you become an entrepreneur is not to repeat things that you've already done. We come from corporate, so I'm thinking, in my corporate career, I wanted freedom was a big thing for me. And so that meant freedom to earn as much as I wanted to earn. It meant freedom to work with who I wanted to work. It meant freedom to use my strengths as much as I wanted to and not just do my set box of responsibilities that was assigned to me in corporate. I wanted to be able to have the freedom to explore and learn and not have anybody cap me on anything. And if we're creating a business that we want this freedom out of, whatever somebody's reason is to create their business, why not create it around your something that's in your strengths, because you want to be good at it and you want to be excited about it and love it, because nobody's going to wake up every day and create a business that they hate or that frustrates them. They aren't going to get anywhere. Their business is going to fail, so to have that foundation from the start and build it on something that excites you and that you love and that you're really good at, that initial first clarity, that foundation is so important to be able to see the success that you really want to in your business.
Yeah. Amen to that. Yeah. Absolutely. Could not agree more. It is, and as you say, you and I, we just absolutely love doing what we do. We just love it so much, and it means you could do it all day long, and you just wouldn't get tired or bored. And sometimes that is, that's a double-edged sword, because you do have to manage your own, you time and sleep and things like that. But it just fills you with so much energy that that you're building a business based on what you're so good at, that really, really lights your fire.
Yeah. And, it's funny when you were talking about, burning out and that sort of thing. I have achiever in my top 5, so I easily can get to that burnout stage because I am like a workhorse. I will keep working and doing and checking off my to-do list. And once I complete something, I'm immediately on the next thing, ready to achieve that and get that done as well. And so it's easy that strength for me out of any of them is the one I have to do the most management in. And it's so funny because I'll see, self-care coaches and, Facebook groups and things like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I seriously probably need to hire one because that is an area for me that I can easily let it get out of control and not take the proper self-care for myself, because I'm constantly putting my business and my son and my husband before myself. And I think that's key to kind of build a business too that, has that balance and knowing when to manage those areas so they don't get in overuse or in what I call a basement of the strength, when you're overusing it and now you're frustrated. Now you're burnt out. now you're wondering like, hey, I thought this was a strength and now it's feeling like a weakness. And it's more so just that you're just really overusing it. It's like on overdrive. And so I usually have to tend to tone down my achiever in me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that in them. And for me, I get, again, I've learned the hard way with that and previously. So now I have non-negotiable bliss time in my day. It's in, and it's time that helps me feel replenished and rejuvenated. It's only a short amount of time, but it's kind of non-negotiable, because otherwise I just put it to the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other things to work on. But yeah, I can really relate to that, what you're saying.
Yeah, my to-do list should have me as a checkbox item and put it on my schedule, because for me, I don't like have a set schedule per se per day, but I am so focused on that it literally for me has to be on my to-do list, scheduled, that non-negotiable time. I like how you call it non-negotiable bliss time. I need to have that. I fully believe that.
Funnily enough, I have that as a freebie.
There you go. Well, yeah. Hey, Helen, I need to download that. Send me the link. Maybe we can link that in the show notes for everybody to download. If anybody else is struggling with not creating enough me time, enough bliss time, and you are like me, who has achiever in your strength and are working yourself to the bone, I definitely could use that. Send me the link on that. We'll put that in the show notes.
Okay, no props.
Well, here's a little fun question. I don't know if I've asked this on one other interview, so I'm curious to know. I don't know if you have any tattoos, if you like tattoos, or if you hate tattoos, but if you wanted one, what would it be of, and why would you choose that one?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I don't have any. I was going to get one when I was 17, one of those tribal things on my lower back. I'm so glad I didn't. But if I was to have one now, gosh, oh my goodness.
Like if you chose one to represent, like your life where you are right now, what would it be?
I guess the first thing that springs to mind is a heart. Which is really cliche, but like a symbol of, I guess, I just feel now that I'm really in a place where I'm doing something that I love, doing something I really, really love. And so I guess it would be that, and maybe a tree, because of the personal growth that I've been in.
Yeah.
A tree with a heart.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can see a little heart etched on the trunk of the tree right now. Perfect. Well, before we go, tell us where we can find you online. I know you have a Facebook group, website, and then I'll go ahead and link that freebie in the notes as well, because I think people will find that helpful. But tell us where we can find you online.
Cool. So, yeah, I'm mainly hanging out in my group, which is the Tenacious Tribe of Lady Entrepreneurs. And there's lots going on in there all the time. There's lots of interaction and lots of sessions and things like that. I have a website, helenpackham.com, where you can find more information about me. And I also have a business page, which is Helen Packham Coach on Facebook. I think those are the main places. I'm just getting into Instagram, but those are the main places. My group is probably where I hang out the most, I'd say.
Yeah. And I don't even remember how we met. Did we meet in your Facebook group, or did I join it, or did we meet outside of that?
I think we met somewhere else.
Okay.
I can't remember where it was, but I saw that you said something about strengths, and I just went, oh, hello.
Yeah, we hit it off from the start, definitely. And I do love your group, so thanks for sharing that. Well, Helen, this has been so fun. I am so excited that we finally got the chance to actually speak on the phone and have a discussion around strengths, because I know we've been meaning to connect for a really long time. And I am really excited for everything that you have in your business. I'm excited to see where everything takes you. So thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much for this podcast. I really appreciate it. It was brilliant to catch up with you.
Thank you.